Grant Cardone has recently made the mistake of calling out CoffeeZilla.
So in this video today, I'm going to be defending coffee with facts.
This hasn't worked out well for scammers like TechLead and Logan Paul in the past, because it seems like they've both been pretty quiet since the release of my videos on them. But out of the three, Grant's call out is by far the worst. This video is nothing but a pathetic attempt at marketing that unfortunately will not get him the response that he's desperately hoping for from the more famous person that he's actually calling out. And instead, the best he's getting is me, a YouTuber with 13,000 subscribers. And in a beautifully ironic way, by making this video, he somehow managed to damage his reputation, because this call out is actually what began my investigation into Grant, and I'm proud to announce that today is the day that we put an end to Grant Cardone, who I can confidently say is the cringiest fake guru of all time.
I guarantee you my grandkids will be talking about me. That's a bad motherfucker right there, dude. There's it. That dude, goddamn. Goddamn.
Boy. But no, again, that's these people. Like, when you criticize people like that, like, like, bro, shut up. Okay.
So let's check out what Grant has to say.
Hey, Steven, man, look, big shout out, my friend. I want to give you a big shout out for sending me so much traffic, so many new clients, so many new customers. Bro, you're amazing. You're amazing. You pitch better than I do, bro. I'm serious. You're fucking the best, okay? Now, I do want to apologize to all your viewers and yourself directly. I want to walk it back. Not everybody can be a billionaire. Let me tell you who cannot be a billionaire.
You are
Right, you're not a fucking billionaire.
literally not a billionaire, and if you want to brag about being one, despite that not being something that most real billionaires ever talk about publicly, show us proof that you are. He can't, because that proof does not exist. He also mentions how coffee's sending him so much traffic, but it seems to me like Grant is lagging in real life here, because he hasn't made a video about Grant in well over a year. So I don't know if the guy's going senile or what's going on over there at Cardone Enterprises, but it would be physically impossible for Grant to be getting a significant amount of traffic from CoffeeZilla in 2023.
Number one, people that think like you, Steve. People that spend most of their time pimping out for Google, taking your little ad bitch dollars. You're criticizing other people that are successful because you gave up on it. Quitters will never make it. Loafers will never make it. You guys that stay home comfortable in your house, you're never going to make it. You ain't going to kill a brick. Shit, you probably won't even get $1 million, okay? Because you gave up. You guys that you're not willing to leave your mama's house. You still live in the basement.
You won't even get $1 million. Like, dude, shut up. Shut your lame ass up. Dude is such a dork. Because these are the type of people, right? You get to saying shit like this in front of the wrong person. It's not even necessarily that they gonna hit you. They just not gonna care, and they gonna roast your ass. Like, dude, shut your bitch ass up.
Basement, probably like Steven.
Grant, come on, man. Are you really saying that a YouTuber who has 2.6 million subscribers is 37 years old and has gotten more than 100 million views in the last 6 months is living in his mom's basement? Like, I get it, it's an insult that people throw around online to anyone they dislike, but it has to be at least somewhat rational if you're gonna say it. Like, for me, I've actually been relegated to the backyard recently. I'm no longer even allowed in my mom's basement anymore, so this can't possibly be about me either. So I just have no idea who he's talking about here.
Okay, you just want to make YouTube videos about other people that have done whatever it takes. And you guys that stay in college, you stay in college too long, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college to waste 5 years of your life, but then you talk about $12,000 to get a seat at the table to come hang out with people that are winning. Too much money.
In case anyone doesn't know what he's talking about, Coffee made a video reacting to this.
I'll never forget, these guys paid $12,000 each to sit in that chair. I look over there, I'm like, man, they crazy. People crazy. 3 days, I got to look at their ugly faces.
I'm here to say new FanDuel customers get up to $3,000 back if they don't win their first bet. Training montage.
I'd rather just not live anymore than pay Grant Cardone.
Because people like this push the narrative like that if someone has money, they just know what they're talking about. They're just right. You should just listen to them. And people like this kill me because they, you know, a lot of people do it. Even people who aren't, you know, like just straight up con artists and just as big of assholes as Grant is. It really frustrates me when people push, and I'll explain why. Even though our education system has a lot of issues, it really frustrates me when people like him push the narrative that college is just a waste of time. You just shouldn't go, like he just said. You waste hundreds of thousands of dollars going to college, and instead of coming to, paying money to sit down with someone like me who's already done it. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality is that our system still works the way it does. And if you don't have a motherfucking degree, if you don't have a bachelor's degree in something, at least universal, because there's a lot of issues. Again, people graduate and they can't find jobs and what they want. But there's a difference between having a bachelor's degree and being able to get a fucking job that pays you enough to pay all of your bills, and being in your early 20s and not having a degree. Because that's me, right? Like, I managed to do relatively decent for myself in terms of my future's bright. I've made a good amount of money. I've been really broke. And a lot of that has to do with a lack of stability, because who the fuck am I? If I'm 23, 25, 26 years old and I don't have a bachelor's degree, well, what else do I have? A resume. What's on a resume? Experience. If you're in your early 20s, you don't have a lot of experience. So you know what I'm saying? So when they push these narratives, obviously it's typically, instead of doing that, come here. But you're telling 18, 19-year-old, typically young men, because that's mostly who consumes this type of content. You're telling young children, basically, don't do this instead, because you can become a millionaire by like, nah, that's not how it's gonna go. That's not how it's gonna go. You feel me? Like, it takes a long time to build a business. You're probably gonna fail at 2 or 3 businesses before one of them succeeds. That does a lot to you. You feel me? It does a lot to you. It does. I've gone through, my life has been hard because I didn't fucking finish school, and I'm more than smart enough to. Like, I'm plenty capable of it. And I don't particularly regret not finishing school. But nah, man, when motherfuckers is 18, 19, I'll be like, man, if you have the opportunity, again, there's all different types of paths to take. And the education system needs fixing. But again, if you have the opportunity to fucking get a degree, then bro, not having to worry about paying your bills is, it's such a blessing. Like, I've been homeless. You feel me? Like, I'm still fucked up over this shit. I'm still, like, doing well, but I'm still like, because, like, I'm not really established yet. You know what I'm saying? So, like, anytime I get to doing well, you feel me? Like, why? Because I ain't got no fucking degree. You feel me? Like, now I'm 31 years old, so I have a resume and it's starting to catch up with me. Yeah, student loan debt is real, but motherfuckers who don't have to worry about paying their bills still have enough money to pay their bills. You feel me? Like, if you're 20, if you're 24, 25, these rich ass white men be telling these young kids, these men who have never had to worry about having a degree or not anyway. You feel me? It's like, don't worry about that. Like, bruh, I've been in Forbes 30 under 30. I've raised over $1 million. I've ran a company. I don't have a degree, but I'm not going to hire somebody who doesn't have some type of formal background, because what the fuck else do I have to go off of? Unless they have years worth of a good resume, I just got to take your word for it. And ain't nobody finna do that. So that's, again, I know I'm ranting, but it just really frustrates me when I hear people like Grant Cardone, rich white men like Grant Cardone, tell people not to go to school, because I have suffered because I didn't fucking go to school. You feel me? Like, so I don't like when motherfuckers just be like, oh, it's a waste of time. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Stop telling people that.
$12,000 just to hear him say the exact same words he says in free online videos, just for him to call me crazy and ugly for paying him 12 grand. He criticizes people for going to college, which is whatever, that's his opinion, but it's not really something Grant can criticize other people for doing. This dude went to college and got into $40,000.
No, I'm not beating myself up, and I actually am going to go back to school. And there's a lot of nuance. Matter of fact, I should do like a whole podcast where I talk about everything on this topic, because there's a lot to talk about. But nah, man, just telling people not to do it. Okay, not do it, and then do what? You feel me? Like, you're going to go to trade school? Do you have some type of really good job waiting for you? Because, again, people like Grant Cardone or Gary Vee, like, just don't go to school, just be an entrepreneur. Like, nah, man, the world don't work like that. You feel me? Like, motherfuckers got to eat. Motherfuckers got to pay their bills.
in student debt, back in the Cold War age, by the way, just to become a car salesman, which is just one of the most moronic things I've ever heard. I was in the car business for a year, but at least I didn't have to go into student debt and get a degree just to shill Nissan Altimas to 19-year-olds with $450 credit for only $390 bi-weekly.
You guys that save money, you bitches, you're never going to make it. I'm just keeping it real, okay? Steven, again, thank you so much. CoffeeZilla, you guys are the best. Thank you for growing my platform. God bless, be great. Kill a break.
Every time a fake guru like Grant is even mentioned by someone with a large platform, it could potentially help them in terms of producing income by increasing their reach. So I get where he's coming from here, but realistically, I really can't imagine that many CoffeeZilla fans are out here buying $5,000 courses from Grant and getting scammed by Cardone Capital. But anyways, this is obviously just an attempt at starting a back and forth with someone who now has a bigger platform than he has. But I'm the best he's getting, unfortunately. Enough with the nonsense though, let's talk about exactly why I think Grant Cardone is an absolute con artist, a great—
I appreciate all of that. And, you know, perhaps I do, not even perhaps, I definitely beat myself up a lot for all types of stuff. And again, but it's just frustrating when people say this, because there's so much nuance to the world, you know. Like there's so many options that people can have, and it's just, yeah.
grifter and the worst fake guru of all time.
You're a rapper. You're out there freaking. You're out there. Boom, boom, boom.
That's Grant's like in his 50s.
Funny shit right there, right?
When it comes to real estate, Grant Cardone is the worst person on this entire planet to take advice from.
It's a selfish decision to have a home.
Okay. Most people shouldn't buy a home.
No one should buy a home.
Yeah, I sold real estate for 3 years, and I can assure you guys that nobody in the industry takes this guy seriously. Real estate is something that could potentially make or break people's lives financially. It's not just some hobby that might produce income for most people, and Grant only gives advice that benefits himself to get people to invest in Cardone Capital, and not advice that benefits the viewer in any way. To show you what I mean, let's check out this incredible real estate advice that he gave Tom Segura and his wife in September of 2019.
So how much equity you got in your house right now?
I don't know, like $500,000.
Sell it right now. Sell it. Grab your $500,000. Go rent someplace and pay too much in rent. You guys should do it because the wheels are going to fall off this economy, and you're not going to be able to sell that house.
Bad, to the point where no one out of 8 billion people on Earth would want to buy their home. The fact that you can sell any home in a desirable location at any time, assuming that the home is priced correctly in the current market, is not debatable. To claim that
the wheels are going to fall off this economy, and you're not going to be able to sell that house.
That is blasphemy. Okay.
And he's talking out of his ass. Since this podcast has been released, home prices have gone nothing but up, even if you adjust for inflation. This is proof on video that if these people had taken Grant's terrible real estate advice, which was never based in any sort of reality, they would have lost at least $100,000 in equity.
And I follow this thread, and bam, tax credit. Maybe.
When I say don't listen to Grant's real estate advice, I mean it.
Instead of chasing a $200,000 deal, chase a $2.5 million deal.
I tell you over and over, look, do not buy less than
16 units.
16 units. Do not, because without 16 units, you cannot have a manager. And if you can't have a manager, you're not going to either have your attention on the property or your full-time job.
All right.
Particularly those of you out there making $150,000 a year. You're making 180, you're making 200. You don't want to take your attention off of what you're making money on.
Grant, what in the world are you talking about? This guy is unironically telling the general public to jump straight into
don't buy real estate unless you can get at least 16 units. The motherfuckers ain't never gonna get into real estate who don't already got mad money.
buying 20-unit apartment buildings, and the best justification he can possibly think of for that?
Without 16 units, you cannot have a manager.
If you buy a duplex and you rent it out to 2 families that don't cause you problems every other day, you don't need a full-time property manager. That is ridiculous. Just because you have a full-time job does not mean you don't have time to call a plumber to fix a clogged toilet. What if someone finds a great off-market deal on a single-family home? They shouldn't even think about that, right, Grant? Because it's missing the extra 15 units, of course. And that's not even mentioning the fact that the average American can't even get pre-approved for a 16-unit apartment building. Either he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's lying on purpose. And the problem here is, he's not making a mistake. He has a verified financial incentive to lie, and that's exactly what he's doing. And I think that's best evidenced by his book that he wrote that's falsely titled How to Create Wealth Investing in Real Estate, which is nothing but a $35 paid advertisement to invest into Cardone Capital. The trick here is that if you can get someone to buy once, it's much easier to get them to buy the second time because the consumer is now financially invested into the things you say. Here is Grant explaining exactly that in writing. With that being said, let's check out this review of the book made by the YouTube channel Sharma's Karma. It's a great video, so I recommend checking out his channel if you want a detailed review of this book.
You know, like by the time I finish chapter 4, I'm like, oh my God, this is just mental fuckery. Like this is just to take somebody, discourage them, confuse the heck out of them. If they were new and they really believe in what he's saying, like you're gonna be at the end and you're just gonna be like, yo, this is like too much, I can't do it. Here's my money, Grant, you invest it for me.
And this same exact narrative is repeated by many people in the review section of this book. I will admit the book has generally good reviews, but given the fact that he's 110% undeniably proven to be unethical when it comes to reviews for...
You saying Grant Cardone? That's what he was on? He was on the second season?
Cardone Capital, I don't trust these reviews.
And 100%, college definitely isn't for everybody. But again, my overall thing is that it is for a lot of people, and encouraging people to just not consider it because it's all bullshit. Not only is that not true, but you also literally could put people on a path towards offing themselves at some point because the stress builds up. Like, you feel me? So like shit, people, if you have an opportunity to do that, and again, matter of fact, I am going to do a whole just singular dedicated episode where I got mad notes and I present stuff and where I'm talking about this whole issue. I think that'd be good because again, there's so much to talk about in terms of the paths to take, how to educate people on preparing for that, changing the education system itself in a variety of ways. There's so much to talk about. But again, you know, just flat out encouraging people to not do this, I just think is bad advice. It's just flat out bad advice, especially coming from people who are just fucking grifting people.
At all. So let's talk about Cardone Capital, which is, in my opinion, the most unethical real estate investment fund in the history of mankind. I'll let Grant explain the business model to you guys. Pay attention here because it's going to be very important later on.
Well, what I do is I buy the real estate with my money.
Right.
So I'm not using your money to buy the real estate. I buy it and then I open the fund up and say, hey, I bought this. We're already cash flowing. I love this property. We think it's going to do X. We think your return will be probably 2X on the way out. So if you give me $1 million, you're going to, next time you see that money, it's probably going to be $2 million. And it's going to pay you 120 grand a year or 6% while you wait. And then it's going to double.
Grant, if you could double everyone's money, you'd be the richest person to ever touch planet Earth, and the entire world's economy would get destroyed. But he makes ridiculous claims like this all the time. Here he is promising 15% annual returns on your money if you invest in Cardone Capital.
You will earn 6% of your money, and then when I'm done paying you 6, I'm going to pay you another 9 on top of that. Because that's what a good uncle does. You're going to walk away with a 15% annualized return. If I'm in that deal for 10 years, you're going to earn 150%. And then it's going to double on your money. You can tell the SEC that's what I said it would be.
Yeah, someone should tell the SEC about that, Grant. Anyways, I was on the Cardone Capital website and I noticed this, where it says in writing that they're rated a 5 out of 5 on Google, which if you know anything about online...
Right, Lynn, and I think that, you know, and again, we're absolutely gonna do a whole episode where this is just what we're talking about. But absolutely, you know what I'm saying? Accessibility, that's really the biggest thing. There's so much to discuss, but yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be as big of an issue, obviously, if at all, really, if at least being able to get an associate's was free, at least that, you know, then people would, you know, because the big issue, a lot of people could go, but they just can't pay for it. But no, 100%.
Reviews, this is physically impossible, even if you run the greatest and most ethical business in the history of mankind. So I decided to look into it. If we take a look at these reviews in the last month or so, there's about 4 or 5. But if we go down to about 7 months ago, there is suddenly thousands of consecutive reviews that coincidentally all just so happen to be 5 stars. You guys can go and verify this for yourselves, and what you'll find is that these are either bot accounts or he was giving out incentives for people to leave 5-star reviews on his Google page, which either way are both explicitly against Google's TOS. But I guess they just don't care about people using fake reviews to rob the general public out of their hard-earned money. And you might be wondering, how does he rob the general public out of their money? Well, let's take a look at this video made by the YouTube channel Growing Up in Scientology.
Between September 2016 and December 29th.
What motherfucker's a Scientologist? That just discredits everything. Like, you're a Scientologist. I'm not listening to you.
Grant Cardone purchased 13 deals that he then sold to his Cardone Capital investors. And depending on which purchase price you want to use for each property, whether we're talking about the actual purchase price that Grant Cardone actually paid, or the false inflated purchase price that Grant Cardone told his investors that he paid. The total purchase price of the 13 properties was between $1 and $1.1 billion. Grant Cardone and Cardone Capital does not disclose the actual purchase price of these properties to Cardone Capital investors.
So he's using unethical business practices like verifiably fake reviews and giving intentionally bad advice and writing $35 sales pitch books to lure people into his personal get-rich-quick scheme, and in my opinion, just straight up robbing people who have far less money than he does by selling them deals that he buys with his own money at a markup of an average of 11%. And keep in mind, this is on top of charging the fees that Cardone Capital already charges.
Just scamming motherfuckers. Oh yeah, Jazzy. Ah yeah, Jazzy. You good all over the country. Yeah, he really is roasting this dude. And again, it's good because like his whole bravado and persona was, look at how much money I have. You know, so that's all you need to see.
To put it simply, he's not making other people rich with Cardone Capital, he's making himself rich. Obviously, it's not up for me to decide whether he does or doesn't go to prison, but if I had to bet money on it, he's definitely currently being investigated by the government, and all I can really say is that I sleep happily every night knowing that I haven't stolen more than $100 million from my own followers. I think investing in real estate is great. I've personally helped more than 20 families out there.
Dude. Hey, I'm the man. Like, bro, you're so lame, bro. You're corny. You're fucking corny. That's why I'm saying, like, it ain't even about like somebody smacking dude up, because I mean that's really unnecessary. But just, you know, like you come around acting like that with people like who don't give a fuck, they just gonna roast your ass because you look like a corny ass fucking loser.
There, invest in real estate. And I'm not even saying don't invest in a real estate syndication. There's plenty of great ones out there, but Cardone Capital is not one of them. If you are going to invest in real estate, there is not a single person out there that I'd advise against listening to more than Grant Cardone. Every single piece of advice he puts out into the world is strategically placed there to
look at this dude. I'm so busy. I'm the man. I'm the hottest guy. Like, come on, bro.
I could talk about Cardone Capital all day, but to put it simply, Cardone Capital only exists for Grant's best interests, not his investors. And Grant's bad advice and unethical behavior is not limited to just real estate.
You're a rapper. You're out there freaking. You're out there.
Don't buy solar panels. Seriously.
There is a very good reason why we're saying this. If you're thinking of
In addition to giving bad advice,
If I get rid of the downs, what do I end up with? All ups, man.
bruh.
All you got to do is get rid of the downs.
and sometimes just borderline illegal advice,
Just be friends.
I don't feel like it. I don't care. I don't care if you don't feel like it. Is that my hand on the back of your head? That's what that is.
Grant will often expose himself as one of the biggest grifters on planet Earth.
So if you're down to your last $1,000, this offer today is $997, grantcardone.com/shark. Okay?
Yeah.
You're down, a guy's sitting there right now watching this, and I got my last grand, dude, and I got Christmas coming. Should he spend it on this?
Absolutely.
I would tell you the same thing.
Your last dollar on my shit. That's what he just said. If you on your last $1,000, give it to me. Don't buy food. Don't pay your bills. Give it to me. But yeah, no, we definitely gonna have that conversation. Absolutely, because then there's so much to talk about, and I mean, I don't know everything either. And two, while I've gone through a lot of negative, well, not even necessarily negative, but while I would say I've had a lot. My life has been hard in a variety of ways because I didn't finish school. I also have gotten a lot of pros for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it hasn't all been bad. You know, friend, like I'm more experienced than most people my age. I've done more professionally, career-wise, work-wise than most people my age. Because I didn't finish school, like I had to develop certain type of character traits. I've had to do more than most. I haven't been comfortable. So like, I'm just, and I'm 31 years old. My resume is more stacked. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done a lot of stuff. I'm prepared. You feel me? That comes with not finishing school, because when you're not in school, you're working earlier. You're being exposed to different types of stuff sooner. You know what I'm saying? When you're not like on a campus necessarily with everyone who's the same age as you. So, my experience with that has not been all bad. I just absolutely be like, look, man, if you got an opportunity and you don't really know what you want to do and you don't have like just money, then man, if you got an opportunity and you good at school, then get you some type of basic degree that you can get a good job at pretty much anywhere.
He should be behind bars for life for even thinking of saying that. Someone who has $1,000 left should pay this multi-millionaire all of the money in their bank account, not be able to pay rent, not be able to pay their utility bills, not be able to buy food for themselves and their family, just so they can get generic advice like this?
You should never have money in the bank.
So this is what I do with it. Do I buy gold?
No. You only buy.
Never have money in the bank. Never. Like, okay. You have money in the bank, motherfucker. Shut up.
Things that produce cash flow that can't be disrupted. Like the real estate I buy.
Are we serious here? I genuinely believe he should be in prison for life just for recording that video, watching it back, and still posting it to the internet. I think this is just a perfect example of the lack of empathy that this man truly has for the average person out there, who makes far less than he already does. When I say every word this dude says is there to benefit himself and not the consumer, that doesn't just apply to real estate. It applies to every word he says. Grant has no morals, no integrity, and no empathy for the same people that he scams. And I think this is best evidenced by the Instagram story he posted titled "How to Close Someone Who's Going Bankrupt."
Oh God, this dude is terrible.
You need Jesus, man.
How about when Grant said he'd be embarrassed if he was making less than $400,000 a year?
Because I don't know how you guys could even live on that number. If I made 400 grand a year, I would be embarrassed with myself as a husband, a father, basically as a human being.
Dude,
that's what I'm saying. Like he like, bro, you are so lame. Who the fuck says shit like that? Like, you don't look cool saying that. You look like a fucking dumbass con artist saying shit like that to people. What the fuck are you talking about?
If I were you, I would be too embarrassed to ever step in front of a camera ever again.
You guys haven't done the math.
I've done the math, Grant, and you're just an imbecile.
There's as much slavery in the country today as there ever has been. You got 300 million people in this country that's slaves. It's called the middle class. They just made it to a place.
Right.
The middle class isn't even that big in the first place. And this is the type of shit that rich white dudes say. They just say shit, and it's like,
They just made it. I can pay my bills. I can pay my mortgage. Look what they're paying for. I can pay my house. I paid my house off now. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I paid the house off. I don't have that anymore. I got a retirement account. These 5 things that I just mentioned are simply machine.
You guys can watch that clip back 20 times. The man is actually going senile. He didn't even mention 5 things. The same guy who can't even count to 5 in his rhetorical example as to why the middle class is the modern day equivalent to literal slavery wants you to give him money so he can get you out of the shackles. Just some absolutely incredible content right here. In case anyone's confused as to why this type of stuff is grifting, he's not here to actually help people become the best possible versions of themselves. He actually wants people to feel bad about where they are in life so you can buy a course from him or invest with him.
Like the real estate I buy.
Can you tell people why Papa's so good?
Because he's a millionaire and he knows Scientology.
Whoa, really? What does that have to do with anybody? You're just making stuff up. I help people, that's why. It's not because I'm a millionaire.
Because you know Scientology.
Yeah, that video is totally not creepy at all, totally normal behavior.
Do you love getting high, but smoking hurts your lungs?
I do like getting high, but
you need to.
That this man has been indoctrinated into a literal cult at the age of 45, and his daughter's like 4 years old in that video, and now she's bragging about the cult that Grant is in while on a live stream that she shouldn't have been on in the first place, which is just some truly fantastic parenting there, man.
Before I started doing this counseling with the Church of Scientology, I had never given any money to anyone, ever. Never gave any money. Why?
Because I was such an alpha. I was such a lion. I'm so on top of my shit, man. That's why I didn't do it. But then I joined the Church of Scientology, and they just be scamming motherfuckers all the time. So I was like, yes, this is where I belong.
Because I was insecure about money. I couldn't give.
Grant, send me money if you're such a giving fake billionaire. Send me money for making this video about you, which is apparently just gonna get you more customers. I deserve to be paid a commission for this. In all seriousness, I do hope Grant sees this video because I know that Grant is a very empathetic Scientologist who truly does care about people and totally isn't a sociopath who recruits people into the cult that he's in. And I think Grant's excessive amounts of empathy for those around him is best evidenced by the fact that he fired half of his employees as soon as the lockdowns in 2020 happened.
Anything I can do for you on recommendations. My job right now is to get my ship healed, fueled back up, moving in the right direction so that I can call you guys back and hire you back. And the best thing every boss out there can do is save your ship. Get it fueled, get it recalibrated, get it going in the right direction.
Grant, you know how you could have saved your ship preemptively? By not buying an $850,000 door for your $60 million private jet.
This door right here, believe it or not, cost $850,000 to put in. Insane.
I just don't get.
Who cares? Well, he does because he's fucking corny.
This man.
You see, this door cost me almost $1 million. And then when no one cares, he gets mad. Like, damn it.
And one day he's a giving guy, the next day he's willing to fire half of his staff in the blink of an eye. If everything else I just showed you doesn't show Grant's blatant lack of appreciation for those who follow him and those around him, the fact that he's confirmed to have fired half of his staff as soon as something goes wrong for him should show you how truly terrible of a human being this guy really is. Maybe if we cut down on the costs, like the $300,000 table you put in your private jet, you'd be able to pay your employees.
So this is a credenza, for whatever it's worth, probably cost 300 grand. I mean, it's crazy. When you start putting stuff on a jet, it's bizarre.
It's amazing to me that people who watch Grant Cardone are genuinely deluded into believing that the guy is a billionaire while also being able to Google the fact that he fired.
People like this are so obviously insecure because, again, if you put people like this in front of a bunch of normal motherfuckers, they start talking about how much this costs and how much that costs, and everyone's just rolling their eyes or ignoring you, he would get mad. He would get furious.
Half his staff in 2020, the same week that things started going slightly wrong for him. Or what about his newest grift, the 10X health system, where you can buy a $132,000 tanning bed and a mat to lay on after you're done tanning. This is totally normal and not a grift at all, right guys? After all, it does come with oxygen and white glove shipping and delivery. And look, Grant is in great shape, specifically for someone his age. I'd be the first one to admit that. But he's not qualified in any possible way to be selling $100,000 products to help others with their health. I would be willing to bet every dollar in my bank account that Grant is on either TRT or HGH, and the fact of the matter is, he's going to cease existence earlier due to his rapid abuse of PEDs, just so he can sell more $130,000 tanning beds. I've even consulted Coach Greg Douchette for his expert opinion on whether Grant is natty or not.
She put on too much muscle too quickly, and to look in that kind of condition, I simply don't think you can achieve that natural.
If Greg's wrong, which he never is, I'm gonna need to see some blood work from a third party, Grant. He can't because he's a fake natty. So Grant might have a great physique now, but anyone who knows anything about fitness knows that in most cases it's not worth it to compromise your long-term health just to look better at the age of 64, and specifically when you're managing billions of dollars worth of real estate using other people's money. So in conclusion, Grant is absolutely the real deal. After I buy his $500 course on how to invest in real estate by just investing in Cardone Capital, I'll totally get rich, and I can finally maybe move out of the backyard, because I'm not gonna lie, it does get cold out here sometimes, especially living on the East Coast. Now, one thing I want to say before we end the video, people often say things like, "Oh, how does anyone get scammed by this guy? I don't feel bad for them at all." And I get where you're coming from. I think one thing people don't understand is that not necessarily everyone watches content like CoffeeZilla's or Spencer Cornelia, where there's even a discussion about scams or fake gurus. And I've come to learn over the years that certain people learn certain lessons at different stages in life. So although I've personally never been scammed by a fake guru like Grant or Ty Lopez or Meet Kevin, at the end of the day, these guys are where they are because they're good at what they do, which is essentially full-time grifting. And I truly feel horrible for the people that lose money as a result of these con artists. So I do my best to try and educate the general public about these people, which I personally consider to be immoral. If you guys made it all the way till the end of this video, think you might like this.
That was a good one. That was definitely a good takedown.